I recently went to AEW Collision. How was it? How was my experience? Stick around and find out. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. Anytime there's any kind of professional wrestling event that's a short drive for me, I'm there. I try to always go and support all promotions. And again, if you've followed me on social media or any of my content for any time, you know that I pretty much hate traveling. The only time I'll go somewhere is if it's like I'm Ubering, I'm flying, somebody's taking me. I hate driving and I hate being away from my home and my eBay business and my dogs. However, if it's like a 30-minute to an hour drive, definitely justified. That being said, when I saw that AEW Collision was going to be approximately 30 to 45 minutes from me, I'm locked in, I'm there. And from what I've seen from the internet wrestling community, which we know how great those people are, AEW is a pretty crappy promotion if you ask them. They can't fill the arenas, Tony Khan's a clown, go on and on. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in person to this live TV. I'm gonna find out for myself. How is this promotion? What is the fan experience? Are those seats really that empty? Or are they just camera tricks? Is the wrestling really that bad? Are the botches through the roof? All these people need to go back to wrestling school. Is there no star power or storylines to this promotion? Are the fans these smart fans and super cringy? Well, I'll break all that down and stick around to the end of the video. I have a bunch of footage that I shot and I'll put it at the end just in case AEW wants to try to take my video down. I can edit that part out and leave the rest of my experience in this video for you. So I arrived at the Great Southern Bank Arena in Springfield, Missouri, and immediately noticed all of the trucks. And I'm talking way more than you would see at a typical WWE show at this same arena. Now, I know that a lot of that has to do with this being a live TV production. There's a lot more that goes into that compared to just WWE running the same venue but doing it from like a house show perspective. I get it. But still, when I saw that many trucks, I was like, this is going to be a huge production. This is going to be great. I walked to the door. People are lined up to get in. Looks like an okay crowd. And of course, we get through the door. What does everybody do? Go to the merch stand. First off, that's what all the people do. All the wrestling fans, all the collectors. What are the exclusives? What's that shirt that they saw on TV that person was wearing that they want? That was always one of the fun joys of going to, whether it's a wrestling event or a concert or even a sporting event, heading to the merch stand or the team store or whatever it is and getting that item you want. But there was big business at the merch stand, of course. Also, I happened to notice out of the corner of my eye, tucked away on a back table, wrestling cards. I've often asked the question to people who are at these AEW or WWE events, are you seeing blasters? Are you seeing hobby boxes? Are you seeing graded cards? Does the merch stand have wrestling cards, basically? And I've had a mixed bag. I've seen AEW have blasters. We've seen them not have anything. But for my footage, those look like blaster boxes to me. Unfortunately, I didn't see anybody buy them that had the same stack there at the beginning of the show as when I was leaving. You had the shirts selling out, you had figures sold out, you had little tchotchkes sold out. Cards were still there, unfortunately. And that could be a whole topic that I've kind of touched on a little bit, but a whole topic for its own video. But either way, it was good to just see wrestling cards available. But anyway, off I go, off to my seat into the arena. And honestly, I was amazed when I walked in. This was just a massive production. This was going to be a lot of fun. Honestly, it's probably the biggest production that I've ever seen live myself at a wrestling event. I've been to indie TV tapings, I've been to TNA pay-per-views, I've been to WWE live events, but this Collision show that was set up blew all of that out of the water. Now again, that may be kind of a skewed perspective because I don't go to a lot of live TV wrestling. But regardless of that, it was just awesome to be able to witness and see all of these things in person. And it was cool to see myself on TV a couple of times, albeit way from a distance. And also briefly appeared in Sammy Guevara's vlog of the event with that huge ladder spot. If you missed that, go back and check it out on Collision. And yes, I know, by saying that I made it on TV or made it on Sammy's vlog, I know, grasping at straws for that one brief moment of TV fame.
I'm still looking good. I'm still pretty, baby.
But hey, we got the Wrestling with Cards t-shirt. Again, way off at a distance. That's the second time that that's been on AEW TV. Shout out to Paul and Anand, who also wore a Wrestling with Cards t-shirt in the front row of AEW a while back. So when I started this video, I said we were going to kind of break down some of the, I guess, cons that I've heard a lot of people talk about AEW. So we're going to start with the fans themselves. Again, we often hear about these are smart fans, dirt sheet fans, cynical fans. I honestly didn't see any of that. Now, I'm sure they were out there, but when I looked around and I kind of listened to what people are doing, I just saw wrestling fans. They cheered, they booed, they were in on the acts, they played along with the wrestlers' gimmicks. That being said, it was interesting to see the fandom from a cheering perspective. Some would cheer the heels, some would boo the faces, some would cheer both and just being in on everything. As a more traditional wrestling fan, this is still something that is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around. That whole shades of gray thing that AEW is kind of pushing, and not just AEW, I mean pretty much all the promotions. The heels have fans, baby faces have fans. I know that's kind of how wrestling's always been, but AEW seems to be letting the fans do whatever they want, and maybe that's why it's more of a fan-based promotion. Letting the fans like and cheer who they like and who they don't like, similar to actual sports. For the longest time, Tom Brady and the Patriots were the heels, but there are still Patriots fans. So same concept that I grasp from AEW, letting the fans kind of dictate what they want to do as far as booing and cheering, and not so much forcing the creative decision down people's throats, kind of like what we've seen with other promotions, specifically WWE. Unfortunately, I did sit in front of, or these people were behind me, however you want to look at it, these complete idiots. I mean, these guys were talking nonsense about presidential elections and role-playing games, and like right in the middle of main event matches on Collision with Danielson and June, and I'm just like, why? Why come to a wrestling event if you're going to do this? So, like, if you take them out of the equation, all the other wrestling fans that I saw were great. Not to mention, there's always that loud, obnoxious person like that talking about unrelated wrestling stuff always sits behind me at these shows. No matter if it's this show, WWE, Indies, they're always there. Part of it, I guess. Part of going to the circus. Hey, I also briefly saw Evan. Evan's on tour. Many of you guys may know him on social media. He's been on this channel. Make sure to follow him on social media and check out the interviews that I did with him on the archives of this channel. We were supposed to meet up, but unfortunately, due to the matches and where we were sitting and other things going on, we just couldn't make it happen. But hey, you could briefly see him sitting ringside in his bougie seats in this clip. As far as the actual wrestling goes, I thought it was great, and more unexpected cool things that happened. For example, the opening match was a Ring of Honor taped match and featured Judy Azul. And Judy is somebody who I've seen several times in Mid-States Wrestling, which is what I consider to be my home promotion. And hey, speaking of MSW, I also saw some mainstay fans that I see at MSW shows sprinkled throughout the crowd, which that was great to see. Die-hard wrestling fans. And later on, when they started taping Rampage at this event, I actually got to see more Mid-States wrestlers in action. I thought it was great that AEW would use the local talent, and this included must-see TV Colton Vaught and Luke Langley. And with this major promotion being AEW, using the local talent, it really sent me back to the 90s when I used to get those wrestling magazines that had the indie sections in them. And there were guys that I've never even heard of wrestling for Bobby Joe's Barbecue Wrestling Federation down in Virginia or something. And they would be the top guy, the local champion. They would be looked at in these magazines as being a big star. But then the next thing you know, they're showing up on WCW Saturday night. They're showing up on WWF Sunday Night Heat. They're showing up on some random ECW show. So it's always cool to me then, and even to this day, to see the local indie promotion, top guy, champion, whatever you want to call it, being used in a major organization, again being, I guess now, New Japan, WWE, AEW, Impact, TNA, and being used in those promotions as enhancement talent. It's just this weird dichotomy of the wrestling, but I think it's really cool and a great opportunity for the local talent. So that was fun, but again, this is live TV. The whole experience was just great. I thought the matches were fun, and I really didn't see any of these wrestlers just kind of phoning it in. Even on the taped stuff, everybody seemed like they were really going at it, as opposed to many of the WWE shows I've been to, where it seems like the wrestlers are just kind of going through the motions. And again, I understand it's a different setting, being house shows, and they tour more than AEW, being live TV. I thought there was a great selection of talent and variety of matches. And also, again, they taped some Ring of Honor matches beforehand and after, as well as Rampage after Collision. So with that amount of wrestling and all the talent that I saw, I really feel like I got my money's worth, the bang for my buck, with this ticket price, with all of that wrestling. In fact, I actually left, I think there was like 1 or 2 matches left that they were taping for Ring of Honor. I ended up leaving because I was just so exhausted. In a good way though, because when I pay that ticket, I want my money's worth. And with AEW Collision, this whole experience, I definitely feel like I got my money's worth. In conclusion, my experience at AEW Collision was probably one of the most fun times I'd ever had at a wrestling event, and that's shocking. Crowd was great, production was great, wrestling was great. It was cool to be part of a live TV experience, and it was great to see all the big name talents that you see on your TV, or that more so in my case, I see on these wrestling cards that I'm selling, and seeing all the talent on the cards, being able to see them in person. Call me a child, but it's still just a cool thing.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Cool to see Tony Khan there. Not like a massive Tony Khan fan, but again, that's the equivalent of seeing Vince McMahon walk out. Now, I'm not going to compare the two, but Tony runs the, you know what I mean. And I know, like I said, people are pretty cynical against AEW, and in some cases, WWE. The tribalism in that avenue is maybe worse than it is in the wrestling card space. But you see these people out there that have like 3 followers and the no profile picture on Twitter talking about how AEW doesn't know how to run a business. They can't fill arenas. Well, here's some inside info on that. When I went to purchase tickets for this event, there were entire sections of the arena that you could not buy tickets for. I'm assuming they were production kills for a lot of the ways they were shooting, and kind of sitting on the opposite camera side, I could see the stuff going on behind the scenes, and it made a little bit of sense why they would want to block off some of that stuff. Could they have opened up more of those than they did? Yeah, probably. But again, that's not the fans' fault. That's the promotion's fault. So you can't fault AEW for not being able to bring in the fans, because there were definitely fans there. And just kind of additional information, the Great Southern Bank Arena, I believe, seats between 10 and 11,000 fans. And from what I read online and some of the numbers that I saw, that AEW was only setting this event up for about 25 to 2,600 fans. Why do they do that? I don't know, but I'm not running the business. I just am trying to be a fan, and that's what you should do. But again, that's not against the fans. That's how AEW is setting up. And the seats that they did have available for sale, most of them were full. So while I am the farthest thing from the AEW apologists, next time you see on social media the TikTok videos or the posts from those people that don't have a huge following, or they have this edited video of, oh, there's nobody in the stands at these AEW events. They suck. They stink. And we've seen the same thing with WWE. Just take that with a grain of salt, because that's not always the truth. Also, I know there were a few botches in this show, both from a on-the-mic promo standpoint and from an in-ring standpoint. And we saw on social media that people were just berating this. They were like, oh, they need to go back to wrestling school. Don't give that guy the mic. I just think it's really sad that people live such pathetic lives out there that all they have time to do is to type on their phone on Twitter about how bad this person is, or how bad the production was or the wrestling was, when they're not even in wrestling to begin with. Just sit around pointing out other people's mistakes. I don't know. I will say if AEW comes back to town, I'm there. As well as any other wrestling promotion that comes within a short drive from me, I will continue to support. And in hindsight, I will do this next time. I should have done it then. Again, hindsight. If I go back to an AEW event or any other event and they have packs of wrestling cards, you better believe we're doing a live rip right then and there. Right on the merch table, so everybody can not only see how great wrestling cards are, but hey, you can see what I pull. And you know I don't rip wax, so I should have done that at this AEW show, but we'll do it next time. Especially because I can count it off as a business expense. But anyway, what a great experience this was. I just love pro wrestling. I love being a fan. I don't try to pretend I'm anything more than that. But I hope you guys were entertained by today's video. I hope you got some good information out of it and some enjoyment. And I hope that you will just continue to be a wrestling fan and a wrestling card collector. No matter what promotions you like, what promotions you don't like, what cards or brands or sets you like or don't like. Just keep having fun and show your support however you can. If this video brought you some value today, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and spread the word. Tell a friend, tell a wrestling fan, tell a sports card collector, tell a wrestling card collector, just tell everybody about this channel and any other content that I put out and all the ways you can show your support. Speaking of showing your support, make sure to check out the links below in the show notes of this video for all those extra ways you can help show your support to keep this content going. Links to my eBay store, links to my Patreon page where you can join that exclusive community, links to all of my social platforms, and much more. And just in case AEW pulls this video for the stuff at the end that we're getting ready to show, click the videos on the screen for more great wrestling card content in the archives, and I'll see you there. But until then, enjoy this AEW footage that I captured from the event. Have a good one.